Hi, this is Tessa. Welcome to my channel, Lessons for Little Blessings. In this video, I wanted to share some resources to set your child up for writing. When I taught first and second grade in the classroom, I found these tools really helpful to get students started writing. I'll put the links for these down in the description box below so you can find them there. And let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to mention is called path of movement. So that might look something like this, and I'll put another one closer in where it is a specific way to form letters. So it might seem like it doesn't matter as long as the letter looks right. Why does it matter how they make the letter? And maybe it doesn't matter, but I think that by using specific movements where kids get it kind of like second nature and they don't have to think about it, I think it really frees them up for the more creative components of writing. So I do think it's important, and let's face it, people need to be able to read their writing, right? So I think it is kind of important to hit this path of movement for more the younger age, or just if your kid is really struggling to form letters, then I think this can be really beneficial. Just this repetitive practice where they just know how to make the letters quickly and easily because they've practiced it, and now they can work more on like characters of their story, or more of the fun parts. So some of the ways that you can practice this path of movement or forming letters, I'll put some different clips up here, or pictures of my son trying different things, but you can do air writing where they write using a pencil in the air or just their finger to make the letters. You can do different like sensory writing with Play-Doh or a hair gel baggie. I did a video on that. I'll link that down below if you're interested, but that's just different ways that they can practice making the letters. That's different than just paper and pencil, which might get a little bit boring for them. There also are different like books that have indents where they can trace the letter, and it kind of just helps that tactile, have them feel it. So it's kind of like muscle memory, right? So just all these different activities that can get their hand practice making that motion so they don't have to think about it. So like an uppercase A, for example, would be slant down, across. So those would be the verbal cues to help them write that letter. The second thing I want to share that is basic like path of movement are pencil grips. And again, this might seem like something that your child doesn't need, but I do want to mention it for those that maybe are struggling to read your child's writing, or maybe your child is complaining about their hand hurting when they're writing. This is something to look into on how they hold the pencil. So take a peek and see, and you really do want them to try to get the tripod grip where there's the finger and the thumb, and then the rest are kind of resting behind. And I know even as adults we don't always hold pencils this way, but as little ones are getting that writing motion and getting their hand strength, this position really does support their hand in a way that it won't fatigue as much. So that's the idea behind it. And so as you're trying to get your child to form their letters correctly using the path of movement, this is just something else that you might want to check into and see if a writing tool like a pencil grip might help support them. I'll put some pictures up here. There's a lot of different ones to try. I got this variety pack for my son so he could try different ones. He's currently using this one that seems to work pretty well. He started with this claw, and I liked this one because it could stretch over crayons. So if you're just getting your, say, preschooler or toddler started, this is a great one to put over anything, crayons, markers, anything you want them to practice, because the pencil, it is smaller, so it's a little bit harder for those younger kiddos. And then it's got progressions, so it just goes up and So a lot of different styles. You can have them try them all and see what feels the best on their hand, but you really do want to try to get that tripod grip. Another resource that can help with writing is an ABC chart. I did a video that had me explaining some different chants you can do with this, and I'll link that video above, or you can find it in the description box below. But there's a lot of different ways that you can use this to be useful for both reading and writing. It can be a great helpful tool for spelling. So as your child is writing and say they're trying to spell a word, and a great way to have them try to figure out the word on their own, we want them to problem solve and try on their own. So you could ask them, write down the sounds you hear. So they'll say the word slowly, like let's say the word is dog. So have them say the word slowly and listen to what they hear first. So they'll slow down the word dog. D was at the beginning. So then they write their D. Okay, and then let's say they do it again. So they listen to what sound do they hear next? D, ah. So if they're trying to figure out ah, and then they can refer back, let's say they're stuck, they can refer back to their ABC chart. Ah, like, and the pictures are kind of a helpful cue too. So if they know this is an ox, they want that ah, like the sound that starts the word ox. So they can write down their O. So it's just a resource they can use that way. It's not something they'll maybe use all the time, but if they've used this chart and they know all the sounds that these letters make, it can just be a quick reference tool, something you might just keep in their writing folder that they don't necessarily use all the time, but it can be a great resource if they need it as they're spelling words. Another great resource is a student dictionary or a word wall. If you've got space, you could put them on the wall. If not, just a small little dictionary that they could put in their writing folder or something works great. The dictionary, it oftentimes has a bunch of high frequency words already there available, and then some extra lines where you can add in words with your child as they learn new words that they want to spell, things that they spell a lot, say family, you know, they might add that in to the F section. It is also a great way to teach ABC order, and just having kids write down those words that they use a lot, and then they can refer back to that instead of constantly asking you, how do you spell this? How do you spell this? Now, when you're doing this, you do want to make sure they spell it correctly as they put it in. So this wouldn't necessarily be a place where they would, problem solve their writing and just write down the sounds they hear. You would want to do this with them and make sure that they get it in there so they see what it looks like correctly. And then when they use it in their writing in this dictionary way, they are spelling it correctly. So that is another helpful tool. The fifth thing I want to mention is fine motor activities. And these are kind of behind the scenes, if you will, where it's not directly writing practice. However, there are so many different activities and games that you can do that build those fine motor skills, and that really helps to increase their hand strength and writing stamina. So I'll show you a few ideas here. We've got these tongs. There's different kind of tongs and little trinkets for them to just practice picking those up with the tongs, forcing them to, use those hand muscles. There also are different lace and trace games where they've got, kind of a shoelace and it weaves between pictures. Similarly, there are beads. You can do beads on strings or beads on pipe cleaners, or even pattern blocks. Any puzzle is actually great for fine motor skills. So those are just some ideas. Again, they just kind of behind the scenes help builds the hand strength that transfers over to their writing. So I hope you found a few helpful ideas to support your child's writing journey. If you think of anything else that could be helpful, please leave a comment below. We'd love to hear it. And you can join me in more math, reading, and writing activities for your kids by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.